Okay, so what you just saw was crisis co-regulation. And up until that point, we have spent hours upon hours working on de-escalation techniques. Our 4 questions. Our self-awareness, our emotional competence, emotional first aid, behavior support techniques, active listening, facial expressions. Now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what is one of the big ahas, the big to-do of TCI, which is the life space interview. TCI, the objective of TCI, what are the 2 objectives of TCIS? Whatever.
Support and teach.
To support and teach. Okay? So all that we have focused on, and if you look at our skills building pyramid, all that we have focused on, all the way up to this very tippy top of this pyramid, is supporting. And now what we are going to talk about is the teaching component. If we remember our stress model of crisis, let me ask you a question. What should happen? What should happen after a student returns to baseline after a crisis has taken place? What should happen, Katie?
They reintegrate into the activity.
Okay, they reintegrate into, what did you say? Okay, their previous activity. Okay, that's one. That's very good. Yep, go ahead, Kelly.
There should be learning happening after this in the recovery phase.
So after, when we're in the recovery phase, we can remember that in the recovery phase, how many outcomes did we have?
3.
3. What was the first outcome, Elaine? The first possible outcome from recovery?
Oh, no change.
No.
Look, worse. It gets
Worse.
worse.
The child gets worse. Sorry, I didn't mean to surprise you. And Vic, you can tell me what the second was?
No change.
No change, or a firefighter. And then the best possible thing that can happen, for Kelly, what was that? The educator, or a child can learn from the situation. So, the second goal of crisis intervention is to teach. The life space interview can be defined as a therapeutic verbal strategy for intervening with a young person, or a clinical expectation of life's events. When do you think it is an appropriate time to do this life space interview? When is it an appropriate time to do this life space interview? We want to teach a student. The life space interview is going to be used to teach a student. When is the most appropriate time to do that, Mike?
Immediately after the crisis.
After the crisis, maybe immediately. It could be immediately. It could be a couple hours.
In the recovery.
What's that? I'll take Dennis's answer.
In the recovery.
Okay, so Dennis is saying in the recovery phase. John, what were you going to
Once the
say?
student is settled, back
Once-
to baseline a little bit.
Okay, so the student is settled, the student is back to baseline. We have a lot of good answers here. We have back to baseline. We have when the student is recovering. We have after the crisis has ended. This is the time to do what we would call the life space interview. The life space interview is not a quick fix. It is not a quick fix. The life space interview very rarely will be done one time and completely alter a student's behavior forever. Life space interview is often has to be done many times with students. It's not a quick fix, but we know that it works. The goals of the life space interview are on the overhead behind me. The first goal being to have a student go back to their normal function, to have an opportunity to clarify the events that just took place. This is a process for change. What happens in discipline in our schools up until we had TCIS is we had detention, we had suspension, we had Saturday school. And we did everything that we could do to condemn behavior issues when they took place. We did everything we could to condemn, the behaviors that manifested in a crisis. What the life space interview offers us the opportunity to do is an opportunity to change that behavior through this process. The life space interview has the goal of repairing and restoring a relationship that may have been broken down. Okay, if a teacher, as Alex did in his crisis co-regulation exercise with me, a phone was taken, a relationship may have been damaged. We work hard to teach our students new coping skills. That's the objective.
Attention please, stages in the following homerooms. Please report to the auditorium now for pitches. Homeroom 3720 and homeroom 4510. Thank you.
And we do what we can to try to reintegrate the student back into class, okay, or back into school, or back into their activities. So these are the goals of the LSI. Now, what does an LSI look like? Sound like? It has some very explicit components to it. I recommend that you cut this piece of paper out, that you laminate it, put it on your desk. Because all you have to do is remember these steps. And by doing them, you can actually teach students new coping skills. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you through a very brief explanation of what these steps look like and sound like. Step one, I isolate the conversation. What that means is I get myself into a position with the student in which we can talk about what happened, and I can convey that the conversation that we are going to have is very, very important. And I have to do that by isolating the conversation, making it so that it is just me and the student having a conversation about what took place. The isolation, the conversation, must take place in the milieu, in the school, in the environment in which the problem happened. It must take place with an adult with whom the child has a relationship with. And it must take place, well, reasonably close in time to when the incident happened. I don't want to have a life-space interview take place days or weeks after an incident took place. It's best to happen when the student is in recovery mode and when the adult and when the student are ready to have a conversation. After we have isolated the conversation to a location, my first step is to explore and get the student to talk about what happened from his point of view or her point of view, not mine. We want to explore the way the student saw what took place in their minds. Then after we explore the conversation, what we want to do is make sure that we use our active listening skills while they're talking, and we want to summarize and make sure that we have a complete understanding of what took place in their minds. Let me make sure I got this right. After I have summarized the way he saw what took place, I'm going to do my very best to connect his feelings to his behavior. What was the second question of our 4 questions? What does the student need, feel, or want? And the purpose of that is, in my mind, I'm trying to connect the students' what? Their feelings to their behavior. I'm trying to do that when the crisis is beginning. Now, what is the value, what is the benefit of a student after a crisis being able to connect their behaviors to their feelings? Go ahead, Katie.
So the next time they feel that way, they can make a better decision about how to behave.
The next time they feel that way, they can make a better decision about how to behave. And they can identify the feeling that what?
Led to the behavior.
That led to the behavior. Once that has happened, I want to discuss alternative behaviors with the student. And what I would like to have happen, the best thing I could have happen, is to have the child tell me alternative behaviors in which he or she could engage in the next time he or she feels that way. Why? Why is it good for me to have the child tell me alternative behaviors? Go ahead, Marissa.
They're more apt to do it because they're the ones that came up with the idea.
More apt to do it because it's their idea. When I say alternative behaviors, it's plural behaviors. Why do I want plural behaviors? They want to have options. We want to have a list to choose from. After those alternative behaviors are discussed, and we kind of come to an agreement of what the chosen behavior will be the next time the child feels this way, we actually have a P there. What that P stands for is to have the child actually plan. I'm sorry. Is to actually plan and practice the behavior. And so we're actually going to physically help guide the child into actually practicing the behavior that we agree upon. Why would I have a student go through this exercise? Practice.
That's how familiar.
They're familiar with it.
That's how they learn by doing.
They learn by doing. You're all teachers and counselors here. We know they learn by doing.
And repetitiveness is how they will learn.
And they will-
The more will stick in there.
And they will stick in their heads and they'll what? They'll see it and they'll remember it. Right? You say it, you might remember it. You write it, you might remember it. You do it, you have a higher likelihood of implementing it. And then the final piece is having the student enter back into the program, or to, as Katie said, to reintegrate into school. Okay, so now what we're going to do is Alex and I are going to conduct a life space interview. What I'm going to ask you to do is I'm asking you to observe us closely. And I would like for you to write down in your notes how comments, thoughts about how we engage each step in the life space interview. So you can write down in your workbooks, you'll find the I escape. And what you might want to do is just put in the I, how you see me isolate. The E, how you see me explore. The S, how you hear me summarize. The C, how I connect feelings to behavior. The A, the alternative behaviors that are discussed. The P, how we practice it. And the E, how we enter it. And then after I'm done with that, we will come back and have a discussion about this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to engage with Alex right now, and we will conduct an LSI. So you're keeping notes on how we engage each part. Hey, Alex. I see everything is we're nice and calm now. You ready to have a conversation about what took place?
I'm going to talk on my phone.
Yeah, I mean, just you and me.
Yeah.
Okay, so come on in. You have a seat. You know what I'm going to do? I turned off my phone, and right now it's just you and me having a conversation, and no one's gonna interrupt. We're gonna have no intrusions. So you and I can talk about what took place there.
But they told you when you saw me, I was pissed. And you took my phone.
Just give me a play-by-play. Let me know give me a play-by-play of what happened. I didn't really see anything. It was kind of a shock to me.
But I was in the cab. I took it out for a second to see if my dad called. I wanted to look at it real quick to see if he called. I was supposed to be waiting for a phone call. And then he just came over and said, you're not supposed to have it out. Give it to me. I took it.
Okay.
Well, you can't just do that. It's my phone. So I got pissed. That was it. I lost it. He grabbed it out of my hand. He reached in my hand, grabbed my phone, said that. So yeah, took the phone, and I blew up. phone, right? You can't just grab the phone out of my hand.
Well, I mean, it happened. Right, it happened. So just want to make sure I got it right, though. You're in the cafeteria. You take your phone out of your pocket. Check what again?
My dad was supposed to call.
Dad's supposed to call. You're in the cafeteria. You take out your phone. Check and see if your dad calls. Mr. B comes up to you and just takes it out of your hand.
Yeah, he took it. Said, I always have it up. I said, that was the last time. I just said it wasn't even a warm yet, but just took it.
And just took it. All right.
He didn't act like he'd asked why I had it out. He didn't care. He just took it out of my hand.
Okay. And so, I think I got it all. Obviously,
Well,
somehow it got to,
I got pissed. As soon as he grabbed it, I threw my lunch down in the cab. And I left. I didn't want to start swearing, but I was swearing. I know I should leave because everyone's going to see it, and then, you know, then they're gonna suspend me anyway. So I wanted to get out of there. I was about to go home. I was leaving. I had enough. So I didn't have my phone to talk to my father. I left.
Attention please at this time,
You saw
students
me.
at home room 3720 and 4510, please report to the auditorium
I
now.
ran into you.
all right, so then you came in
Yeah.
and so Mr. B takes the phone. You get really pissed. You come down my way, and then we had what took place in the room.
Well, you saw me. You stopped me from going anywhere.
Yeah.
You started talking to me. I was still mad. So I said, I swore, I know I shouldn't swear at you.
You
I
swore.
didn't mean to swear at you. I was mad.
You swore.
And I was punching it. You know what I mean? You've seen me do it before. I get mad and I punch things. And he pissed me off.
Okay, so you got mad, you swore, you punched things. Anything else?
That was it. It was Mr. B taking the phone.
No,
I
when you
swore
were
at
here.
him. I left the cab. I saw you.
Yeah, when you weren't here, you were yelling, you swore, you
And I threw a couple things.
threw a couple of things too. All right, so when you were mad, so when you get mad, when you feel that way, what happens?
Started shit.
Start hitting things when you get mad. Okay.
And
Throwing things.
throwing things. And I leaving. I was leaving. I swore a little bit.
All right, let's just think about this. Be open-minded about it, right? I get mad, I hit things, I throw things, I swear. Is there anything else at all that could happen when we're mad, when you're mad, other than hitting things, throwing things, swearing?
Sometimes I can't do anything. I gotta leave. And that's what I did in the cab. So